Hi fiber friends, I'm Emily and I'm the Botanical Knitter. I'm a knitter, spinner, sometimes natural dyer, not very lately a sewer, and I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. I usually do episodes with the very standard finished objects, whips, yarny acquisitions, a little bit of spinning, and then of course all the fun fiber times I have with my friends who are also knitters and makers. Today's episode, and I don't know that it's even an episode, special edition, is all about mini skeins, advents, countdowns, whatever you call it. I'm going to talk about that. And it's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to only talk about a few patterns. And these are the patterns that I'm considering for my advents. Yes, plural. I'll get into that. There's so many really great episodes out there where people are running through a long list of hats and scarves and sweaters and all of the things. And I've watched a lot of them, but I have a couple that I am considering for mine, and I just thought I'd share my plans with you. Okay, I'm gonna be looking at my laptop because I have all of the Ravelry patterns open. I also have my notes, so when you see me looking that way, so I can give you all of the deets on these patterns. Let's start off by talking about what I'm wearing. So this was my Yule Advent or countdown from last year from Dragon Hoard Fibers, Dragon Hoard Yarns. And if you watched my Vlogmas last year, I didn't do an Advent. And then I got FOMO watching everybody else's Vlogmas episodes. So then I ordered the Yule one, which started mid-December-ish. And I ended up knitting the Brioche Adventure by Jonatan Tallow, and I loved knitting this. So this was my first brioche project. It's hard to tell, but there's stellina in this bad boy. And the pattern calls for, I think, 17 to 24, 25 minis. I only had 13 or so, so then I supplemented with other mini skeins from Lavender Loon's Season of the Witch, which was also a stellina base. Lots of brioche mistakes, but you can't even tell. It's a fun shape. It's different than what I have, which means it's sometimes hard to wear, so bear with me as I wrap this bad boy up. So all of this to say, I would recommend this one. I'm not going to knit it again, but I would really recommend it. It's cozy, it's squishy, it's simple brioche, two-color brioche. It's a great way to use up minis. This wasn't a fade, but I put it together in a way that kind of was fade-ish. Fade-ish-ish. I made up a word today. You're welcome. So would recommend this one. All right, let's talk about my advents because there's plural. So I am getting 2 sock yarn countdowns. Those are the advents or the countdowns that are a stripe a day. And I'm getting 2 of them. And that's because my friend Jenna messaged me and was like, hi, last year I had way too much. I only used 50 grams out of the 100 grams. Do you want to split 2 with me? And I said, yes. Yes, I do. So we got 2 skeins and we're splitting each of them. I'm meeting up with her after Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow, to get that. And I have, so those 2 things coming. One of them is the Freckled Whimsey, and then the other one is Woolens Nosh. I haven't done either of those sock countdowns before, but I'm excited for it. My second advent is from the Creabea Advent swap that's happening. I was paired with a lovely gal named Lori in Indianapolis. She already sent me her box. She's on top of it. I have to finish winding the 10-gram minis and send it off to her, but I have my flow all picked out. And I really like this one because it's using stash. I have so many half skeins, quarter skeins, mini skeins left in my stash that I don't know what to do. And it was very fun to dig through my stash and come up with a flow, and I was like, oh, look at all this yarn that's in my stash. And I have ideas on other ways to use that. So this is one cool because it was inspiration for how to use up some of the scraps in my stash. But I also liked it because it's no cost. So somebody's putting together a 24-day 10-gram mini set for me, and I'm doing the same for her. So this one was no cost. So that was my only plans, was this swap one and then the 2 sock yarn countdowns. And then I was in the destash yesterday. Today's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so Tuesday. And somebody posted a Knotty Pine 2022 24 skein mini with a full skein countdown. And I had to have it, right? That's how it goes. I remember having regrets about not getting Knotty Pine's previous advents. And then this one popped up in the feed, and then it was dropped down, the price dropped down a bit, and shipping was included. So I felt like I had to. I took a screenshot and I messaged it to my Twin Cities knitting crew. I was like, hey, tell me I don't need this. And they're all were like, no, you need this. So I bought it. Luckily, they're labeled 1 through 24 plus the full skein. And I briefly looked at it and it is a fade. So I deleted the picture so I don't remember what it looks like, and I'm gonna have my husband wrap it up for me. So then I have an advent to open this year. So I have 2 24 countdowns, one's 10 gram, one's 20 gram, and 2 sock advents. Who said less is more? Not me. All right, so let's talk patterns, let's talk plans, and what I'm thinking of doing. So I know I can do the socks, no problem. 2 stripes a day. I'll do left and right at the same time. My plans for the Woolens Nosh is to use the Woolens Nosh pattern that's coming out just for this countdown. The pattern will be published on December 1st. It will be available for purchase. It's $5 per purchase. It sounds like it is lightly patterned, and I think the phrasing was allowing the movement of the color, which I liked. So it was designed for self-striping yarn. It is cuffed down, but can be worked with any toe, any heel, or the pattern can be used if you wanted to do toe up. I plan to do cuff down, long tube, and then we'll cut in for a true afterthought heel. It's what I did last year. I kept the formula so I remember how many rows I had. My gauge has tightened a little bit, but it should still be there. I really love the fit of the afterthought heel on my feet. I'm wearing it right now. Okay, I'm gonna flash my foot to you. Please ignore all the dog hair on it, but same kind of thing here. It's a nice tight fit, which I really like and doesn't stretch out too much. So that's the plan for the Woolens Noshes, the pattern that they're going to publish, which you can find on Ravelry. The second pair of socks, the ones from Freckled Whimsey, I'm just gonna do giant tube, cuff down, cut in afterthought heel. I figure if one sock is patterned, the other one I'm just gonna want vanilla knitting so I can read or whatever while I'm doing it. That's my sock plans. Are you doing the countdown socks? If so, let me know what your plans are. I was scared last year, very scared, to do the afterthought heel. And somebody sent me a fabulous video of this. I can't remember, it was a funny name. It's a Southern woman. She's like yelling at her dog, or you can hear her husband yelling at the dog, but it is so helpful. And there's no gaps when you do it. This is the heel I continue to use. So I'll find it and link to it below because it's genius. All right, mini sets, the 24 skein mini sets. I have 4 patterns in mind, but I think I'm only gonna do a couple. 2, obviously. I only have 2 advents. She's a mess. Let's pause. Drinking coffee in my Powell's mug. This is coffee we got from Puerto Rico, and usually I drink my coffee black, but I got gingerbread whipped cream from the grocery store yesterday, and it's divine, so I put it on top of my coffee. All right, she's focused, she's ready. So there are 2 sweater patterns that I'm considering using for my Knotty Pine fade advent. They're beautiful colors. They're very earth toned, faded. So I think a faded sweater would be glorious. The first one is My Favorite Adventure by Dragon Hoard Yarns. This is Tristan. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. It is a top down raglan with 1x1 color work. A lot of you know I'm doing a 1x1 color work sweater now, so I feel like I am a pro at this and I know that I could cruise through it. The pattern is written for a fade, or if you have minis and random orders. As long as you have a contrast main color that you hold throughout the whole thing, your sweater's good to go. So for those of you who maybe didn't order an advent or a countdown and you've got stash, this might be a great way to use up 20 grams of your stash in some main color, because it doesn't need to be a fade and you can pick and choose which order you want. So that's just a plug if you're feeling FOMO and you want to make your own. It calls for 20 gram minis, 1x1 color work. It's up to 67-inch bust with 2 to 4 inches of positive ease. So that's the first pattern I'm thinking of doing. I've thought about this for a long time. I still have my Lavender Loon Advent from 2021, the Avatar one that's bright colors. And I keep sitting on those minis. I have not touched them yet because I think it would be a really fun, my favorite adventure. It's bright colors with a white or a gray. It would pop and be very cheerful, and it's naturally striping because of how you do it. So maybe I'll just sit on that, but that's in the mix. The second sweater that I'm considering using is a new to me sweater, and I found it thanks to a friend, and it is the Fade Sweater Winter to Summer by Dana Kiki Nemmert. Sorry, Dana, I'm sure I said that wrong. It looks beautiful. Picture here. It has a smaller fade at the top and then a larger fade in the rest of the body, and then a beautiful yoke colorwork section with stark contrast. It only goes up to a 61-inch bust, and it's top down. It has vanilla knitting with fading. It has colorwork. Those are all things I love. It has more of a boat neck with 3/4 length sleeves. So the more I talk about this, the more I'm thinking this is what I go with. And then that way I can use the main skein of the Knotty Pine Advent for the colorwork section with some stash to have like a stark pop within the fade. So then it'll all go together. Okay, I'm talking myself into this. It is a really, really beautiful sweater. Only 28 people have knit this, and lots of them I think were test knitters, so it's good that the pattern was test knit. It is $5 euro, which I have no idea what that is for US dollars, but obviously I'll link it below. The sweater is knit on the wrong side, and then you turn it to knit the inset color work, and then you turn it again to knitting in the wrong side. So lots of stockinette, not a lot of purling. I don't mind purling that much, but this means I can read while I'm knitting. I don't know about you all, but I'm reading Iron Flame right now, and then I have a bunch of like garbage Christmas wintry romance books that I want to read, so that's appealing to me. So yeah, I think I just talked myself into it. I think that's the plan. So honorable mention, my favorite adventure, but first place for my Knotty Pine goes to the Fade Sweater, Winter to Summer Sweater by Dana Kiki Nemmert. I'll link it below. Okay. Well, thanks for your patience as I worked through that. I'm actually really excited to knit this now, just looking at it and looking at the project pages. All of the combos look really nice too, which I think is good. It's always nice to look at not just the pattern that's the cover page for Ravelry, but like what are the other photos looking like? You know, sometimes is the raglan too deep? Is it too puckery? And I think you can kind of start to spot trouble issues in a pattern potentially. So this one is looking real good. Okay. So then my second advent is the one that Lori made for me through the advent swap. And I think I'm going to do a blanket with that one. I've never, oh, here comes the cat. You're going to see Ralph in a second. Hi, Ralphie. Here he is. This is Ralph. I found him in our alley. No microchip. Nobody claimed him. We posted on Nextdoor. He's mine now. I've always wanted an orange cat named Ralph, and here he is. Okay, well, he's just gonna linger here. He's so cute. Okay, anyways, I think I'm gonna knit a blanket with my other advent. I don't know if Lori did a fade, how the colors go together, what the fiber content is. It is a true mystery, and I think that makes for a fun blanket potentially. I know lots of folks have knit blankets in the past. Usually I have been like, I don't want to do that, but I'm gonna try. And I'm not gonna force myself or expect myself to get it done in the 25 days of December. This one might just go into however long it goes to, and it's couch knitting or TV knitting or reading knitting as I go. And I think the one I've landed on is the Anthology Throw by Helen Stewart. I think lots of people did this last year. I'm pretty sure Sock Witchery did it. I'm pretty sure Maddie from We Share Needles did it, I think. And so this one was making its rounds last year for sure. But what I really liked about it is the shape. It's a circle. I think it would look pretty spread over the edge of a bed. It would be pretty to use tucked over my upstairs office chair and fold it in half and use it as a shawl or a lap blanket. So that's why I think I'm going to try a blanket. Haven't done it before. It is Anthology Throw, is the name of it is A Gathering of Flowers. So that feels really perfect for me. The Botanical Knitter, plants, that's my one spot of plants in my house. You've seen others if you've watched past episodes. So that feels really lovely. And then the other reason why I'm doing a blanket is because this mini set is 10 gram minis, this countdown that I'm getting, instead of the typical 20 grams. And so I think I just plan to use 10 grams all the way up and just change the repeats as the colors change or as they come. That way I'm using every single bit of this advent. I think that's why I like the idea of doing the fade sweater too, the winter to summer fade, because I think that will use up every bit as well. I have too many minis. I don't want to throw, you know, on all those little odds and ends that are great for heels, toes, cuffs, but I don't want to keep adding to it. My goal is to use as much of these countdowns as possible, including the socks. So I think the Anthology Throw is where it's going to be. Have you knit it? Have you knit a blanket? Is there a blanket pattern you'd recommend over the Anthology if you didn't love knitting it? I haven't done anything circular before, so I feel like this is a pattern of firsts, a blanket and a circle shape. So we'll see, but that's the plan. I do have an honorable mention, and this is a pattern I think I might have talked about before. A lot of you know I got a Halloween countdown from Silly Goose Yarns, the Coraline one, and that one was 13. They are brightly colored, or some darks, some moodies, but then some pops of color. And they weren't in fade order, but I rearranged it so that it does look a little bit more like a natural flow. And so that one is eventually going to be made into a Venetian Shawl, V-E-N-A-T-I-O-N Shawl by Ambah O'Brien photo. It's a shallow triangle shawl, which I love a shallow shawl, just the way it wraps, fits so nice and doesn't slide around. And it is, I guess, Venation, I'm looking at the project page, is the structure of leaves. So again, plants are my jam, so this feels very cool. And it looks like a beautiful pattern, and you just fade it. It's got eyelets, it's simple shaping, it keeps the pattern saying interesting, but also just like a good knit. So not too complicated. Feels like it would be an easy, memorizable pattern. So that one will eventually be a Coraline shawl. So sharing that one with you if you have a smaller number of minis, or you just have a bunch of scraps in your stash and you want to make your own slightly faded advent, I think this one would be a perfect pattern for that. And then finally, if none of these struck your fancy, I did want to share a list, a Ravelry list. Is that what it's called? Favorites list that my Twin Cities area friend Caitlin put together. It has all different kinds of patterns to use your minis up, whether it's a 13-day countdown, a 24-day countdown. I think she's working on adding some Hanukkah specific patterns as well. It's hats and socks and stockings and shawls and sweaters. That's where I found the winter to summer fade was on this list. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll link to the Ravelry list below. So if there's any that you like, you want to bust your stash, you want to use those minis from previous countdowns, or if you skipped one this year, you know, it's there for you. Okay. Well, that is really all I have. Lots of plans. Thanks for letting me workshop through what I want to be doing. It is the day before Thanksgiving, and so I wanted to get this posted soon so you have some time to noodle and watch and think on it before you start on December 1 with your countdowns, or if you're doing a Yule countdown or Hanukkah a little bit later. And it'll be great, right? This is the fun time of year. A lot of you know that I love to decorate, and obviously I decorated for Christmas far before Christmas. I did the same thing with Halloween, but my house just feels extra cozy right now. And so I'm feeling relaxed and happy and ready to start knitting with my Advents. All right, Midwest goodbye is over. I hope you're well. I hope you have a fabulous Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you next time.